I consider myself to be a process-orientated artist, meaning the process is the most important part of creating artwork. It's not always the end aesthetic or the end visual that I am really trying to nail down, but rather it is the embodied feeling within my studio practice that I find to be the most important. And one way that I really like to explore that within my studio practice is working with materials that maybe aren't always something that you can buy in the store. So in this exhibition, things like the color fields that I'm working with in extractions are rose petals, dried rose petals, fresh tobacco leaf, and breast milk. And all three of those materials are things that I've had to grow myself or make myself, and they've each taken quite a long time in their different ways. Another important material in this exhibition is bear grease, which is something that I don't buy in store. I get bear grease through the process of bartering or trading with other Indigenous people so that I know it's local and I know that it is ethically sourced and medicinally in line with what I want to use it for. Rootless is a sculpture of stacks of artificial turf about 9 feet with live roses slotted in between the stacks of turf. This is a new work for me and one of the largest sculptures that I've made to date, which is extremely exciting for it to be taking up the space in the gallery. The material aspects of this work are very important. I've never worked with astroturf before, but I think that it's a really beautiful metaphor for a lot of conversations that I'm trying to have within this exhibition. It's meant to look like real land, and it's not. So it kind of has this bit of a shapeshifter energy to it. It's mimicking something that it isn't. And I really want to highlight this by using live roses. And the roses are meant to decay throughout the exhibition. And this really highlights that there's no roots in the grass for the roses to get nutrients from. At the end of the exhibition, I will be using the dried rose petals to remake another work or possibly use for pigment in the future, which also highlights the idea that although things are decaying, they are still usable in the future. I love to use humor in my practice in subtle ways, hoping that those who get the joke will get the joke and those who don't just don't get it, and that's okay with me. In this exhibition, humor is very subtle. It's specifically in the work titled Token Generosity. Token Generosity is placed at the very beginning of the exhibition, so when the viewer walks in, they are invited to take a book of matches as a gift. And on the book of matches, it says to make smoke in Cree syllabics. So the viewer isn't invited to understand what's on the box unless they're, like a fluent Cree speaker. And then once you open the box, the matches have already been lit. So the gift for the viewer in this instance is not so much a utilitarian gift, but it is the labor of myself going through each box and lighting the matches. I really love that the weight of the work is put on the labor of the artist, the process of lighting each match and making smoke. I really have thought about the use of the word abstraction. There is such a history in art in general with abstraction being used in paintings and meaning really a variety of different things. But in the end, I think that my work really is in alignment with abstraction in the sense of taking an image and imagery in general and changing what that looks like. So it makes sense to me as the artist, and then it also makes sense to a specific audience as well. Another beauty of abstraction is that it can help the viewer really focus on the concept of the work as opposed to the visual aspects of it. And I'm hoping that when the viewer sees my work, they're really asking why I'm choosing the process that I'm working with in that particular piece, and really learning from that, I suppose.
had a lot to do with this show, didn't you, Neil? And that's a wrap.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. He's not that shy.